as a, I really envy people like Ashish, and since I'm a failed writer, and I became a filmmaker because I cannot handle the loneliness of a writer. As a kid growing up in a small town called Sagar, which was 114 miles away from you, and when Bhopal was a big city for me. I used to sit in a library, and that's where I found my life and my medium. And in the fascinating world of, I have to confess, American fiction, I found stories and I found the world and I found the meaning to my life. And I still say that, what has influenced me most is that fiction which I read sitting alone in the summers in the libraries. And because we were the sons of heads of departments, we had the keys to the library. And that became, it was perhaps not strictly legal, but, all good things. And the other thing I envy Ashish is the kind of good boy making good, because if they talk to my teachers from my school, they wouldn't say the same things about me. So I thought only bad students make good artists, but now, only terrible people make good artists, but he proves things to the contrary. The third thing that I envy about him, that he can write inspirational stuff, because as a rather muddled boy, I write stories about the darkness of human life, and I can't seem to find much inspiration. So I think people like Ashish are perhaps more important, because for me, narrating these stories that I narrate is that I narrate stories which are that the world is not the best possible place to be in. But perhaps with Ashish, the children can learn that it can be better. And that kind of inspirational fiction is something that children should read rather than see my films, So I recommend Ashish's books. Yeah. भला गर्दिश फलक की चैन देती है किसे इंशा, गनीमत है कि हम सूरत यहाँ दो चार बैठे हैं. That's why I'm here. That's why Bashir Saab is here. That's why Ashish is here. Thank you so much. I wish him all the best. Thank you, Bhopal.
दुनिया को मैं पढ़ा सकता हूँ, ये मुझे पढ़ा सकती है. हम अपने बच्चों से सिर्फ यह कहना चाहेंगे कि धीरे धीरे जैसे आप पढ़ेंगे, आपको लगेगा कि उर्दू और हिंदी को जब बोला जाएगा तो दुनिया का कोई आदमी ऐसा नहीं पैदा हुआ जो ये बता सके कि बशीर उर्दू बोल रहा है या हिंदी बोल रहा है. और हम तो बच्चों को इशारा करके छेड़ के चले जाते हैं. जब कभी हमसे मिलेंगे या हमारी बताई हुई हजारों किताबों से मिलेंगे, तब जब हम नहीं होंगे तब ये कहेंगे कि बशीर साहब तो ये कह गए थे जो मुझे आज सच पता लगा. आप यकीन जानिए कि 51 बरस पहले जब मैं 12-13 साल का था, तो खुदा ने मुझे एक शेर दिया था जो आज मैं पूरे दावे के साथ कह सकता हूँ कि 1000 बशीर बद्र पैदा हो जाएं, कभी इस शेर का जवाब नहीं कर पाए. और दुनिया की हर लैंग्वेज में सबसे ज़्यादा यही उसी बच्चे का शेर दोहराया जाता है, और वो शेर है कि उजाले अपनी यादों के हमारे साथ रहने दो, उजाले अपनी यादों के हमारे साथ रहने दो, न जाने किस गली में जिंदगी की शाम. और तो हम सबको दुआएं देता हूँ कि और हिंदुस्तान की जो अजमतें हैं, रहमतें हैं, खूबसूरतियाँ हैं, वो सब तुम्हारे नाम हो जाए.
The parents of the students who are studying, who have studied, the teachers who are here in full force, who remember Ashish as a young boy, the alumni of All Saints, and of course our well-wishers, our friends, and all the people who've come to grace this very special occasion. I think in one of the clips, two of the clips I'd like to mention, in one of them a paper announces, "This is no dummy," and this is what I also believe. Ashish is one of the truest people I know, and it reminds me of Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true, and it must follow like the night of the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. And if I were to describe Ashish, this is how I would do it. Ashish is a true example, not a true dummy, a true example of what Misar, the most eminent educationalist I have ever known, and I believe that all those who knew Misar will agree, wanted her students to be. All academic learning was backed by cultural and ethical mores. And that is why कितने भी बदमाश हों स्कूल में, once they are out, they are able to compete with the best. There's so much I could tell you. Last year, I went to Oxford for my golden jubilee of entering college. I joined Somerville in September '57. Ashish was there, his lovely wife Pooja and his beautiful little daughter called Angel. They were with me all the time. Ashish came to one of the events at Somerville and everyone was asking him, "Are you an actor?" They would not believe that he did not have any English, but Thet Hindustani hai wo. But they did not, they said, "No, you speak such beautiful English." And that is why we were blessed. And these students were blessed by hearing Misar's voice. And not just her voice, she was like a magnet who attracted. And that magnet went on to attract others, and an example is here. In one of the clips, very quickly passed over, was Misar's presentation of the award of Member of the British Empire by Princess Alexandra. Here in the British Library, because it had to be on British soil. Ashish, our head boy, was there, and long before he went to England, he was introduced to and he spoke to a member of the royal family. It is significant that Ashish's book release should be held in the precincts of this library. And one thing I would, in passing, just say that don't let this library rust. It is a wonderful opportunity. And I, more than for what he says, which I know, more than that, Ashish is going to create a landmark by getting the youth back to reading, back to literature. And this is so important. You know, your visual aids or whatever, your group discussions, things for which people prepare can never take the place of reading because you are one with the author. It is solitude and at the same time it is company. And so this is something that I hope that this book will generate a desire for the youth not only to read but to emulate. Ashish's book, you have read the synopsis, but what I would like to say is that something that I found in this book, which I greatly admire, is that Ashish is forthright and sometimes even naive in expressing the desire that is inside. He is able to project something that we perhaps forget. The human heart. the human heart is as much connected with love, joy, and fear. The way he expresses fear, which is so much a part of human existence, and goes on to overcome that fear. So fear is not, should dismiss or refuse to admit that exists. If there were no fear, there'd be no courage. And for this, what Ashish's message is, perhaps 2.5 centuries earlier, was expressed by Wordsworth. Thanks for the human heart by which we live. Thanks for its tenderness, its joys, its fears. For me, the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that too often lie too deep for tears. This is the emotional development of those students who studied under Misa. Misa used to say, if you want to recognize one of my students, see the light in their eyes. Ashish at school, his mop isn't as curly as it was then. Lovely blue eyes, curly mop, a mischievous grin, and involved in everything. His wife, Pooja, also a highly talented girl, and isn't it an extraordinary coincidence? Ashish was welcoming Princess Alexandra in the library. Pooja was doing a Kathak dance outside here to welcome the royal guests. And their lovely daughter, and I feel so proud, I am Bia Dadi to her. I feel, Ashish, that you must not stop here. You must go on. You must find reasons, and you will, to get the people. I don't believe in this dichotomy between youth and age. Every one of us is a child at heart. And if you don't have the right direction, you're old before you've started. You're old in your teens. Every person is a poet at heart. The only thing is, perhaps, that they haven't discovered the felicity of expression. My Ashish has, our Ashish has, and yet there's still a lot to learn. Misa gave the motto, to the highest, for the school. And it is the summum bonum, which is the Latin for this, which inspires us all. Ashish has based the spirit of welcome, the spirit of inspiration, the spirit that makes these young people realize that we have overcome. That spirit is in the form of a lady called Ira. Now those who knew Misa will know that her name was Iris. Her second name was Cynthia, and you will find Cynthia in the book as well. Just a little change. This is just an extract. Before you leave, I want you to listen to my last fable, a fable of death. She said, caressing my head with her palm. I was not interested, but it was Ada. She started without waiting for my consent. There was a time when this island was not an island. As far as the eyes could see, only land existed. She held my hand and spoke in her characteristic manner. And this vast piece of land was ruled by a king who was extremely fond of flowers. Notice the simplicity of the expression. Lot of it all monosyllabic. Ashish shows fear, he shows joy, he shows achievement. But like so much modern writing, he is never cynical, he is never moribund, he is never morose. At first he had a small garden with a limited variety of flowers. But as the years passed, the king's passion for flowers grew and his garden became larger and larger. To accommodate his garden, he raised his palace to the ground, and then this town, and even when this did not satiate his desire, he turned towards the woods. For the king, his garden was a source of joy, but for others, a message of destruction. As soon as they heard that the king's garden was heading in their direction, they fled from their villages. The king loved his garden more than his life and trusted nobody with it, and so watered the flowers himself. People say that a day came when his garden became as large as the sea. To water such a huge garden, the king had an enormous bucket made and did nothing but water his flowers all day long. Even though the bucket was large, it took him 1 full year to water his entire garden. With time, the king started worrying more and more about his flowers. And please note, and was so caught up in safeguarding them that he forgot to enjoy their beauty. Dr. Bashir Badr is pe sher likhna aap zarur. As the years passed, the king found himself caught in a vicious cycle. A day's rest and the garden would shrink. His years of hard work would be lost. He became terribly frustrated with his work and found it the biggest burden of his life. Yet the king was not able to set himself free from the lure of flowers and continued watering them with aggravation. One day the king felt that the only way he could get away from this misery was by killing himself. He went to a mountain, closed his eyes, and requested death to come and take all his sorrows away. After his death, as the king opened his eyes, he saw God standing in front of him with the same bucket with which he had watered his flowers. God spoke, "Dear king, take your bucket and resume your work." "But God," said the astounded king, "I am dead now and away from my garden." To which God replied, "No, dear king, that is what you assumed. Death is when it is caused by me. As you have brought your unfinished destiny to the skies, from now on, as long as you stay here, you will spend your time doing nothing but the same work for which you took your life." God then converted the king's garden into a vast sea. And ever since, beyond the skies, the king wakes up every day to fill his bucket to the brim and cascades it onto the earth as rain. The king has to shower water regularly, just to remind the people of this earth not to return to the skies until they are asked to do so. I knew that, like all other stories related by era, even this one was fabricated. But strangely, a sense of fear arose in my heart. What if the king's warning was true? Would I forever remain a failure? A dummy pearl? Someone who always loses in love? To make things worse, the sky turned gloomy, as if bringing warnings from the king. I gazed at the skies, heaved a sigh, and slipped into the dark hole. And so, with it slipped my dreams, my courage, my hope, my chances, my everything, but not my veiled destiny. What can one do about destiny? This is what he tries to tell you. Ashish later describes an incident with the kite flyer who believes that the sky only extends as far as his kite goes. The protagonist of this fable tells the kite flyer, "Go to the world beyond the kite, touch the stars gleaming bright. The string only exists when you feel the fear that makes you kneel. Go to the world beyond your kite. You can. Yes, you can." And one thing more that Nisa always advised her students, and which I feel, I'll end with two quotations, Ashish has done. And this is what success, this is what life, this is what giving is all about. Her favorite prayer was, "It is by giving that we receive." To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. To hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. And my blessings to you, Ashish, birthday boy and all. You have filled the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. Yours is the world and everything that's in it, and which is more, you are a man, my son. Thank you.
As we all know, we are here today to celebrate the success of a book written by someone who was born and brought up in Bhopal, but is currently making the world stand on its feet due to his imaginative writing. For the world, he may be Ashish Jaiswal, but for us, he was and will remain Ashish Bhai.
I'm really nervous because I think that I have no business to even stand here. I actually feel very embarrassed that I'm here and I've taken the center stage. So I would take this opportunity to really thank my city and my friends and I would start with my school, which has stood by me in my thick and thin. And whatever I am today is all thanks to my teachers in school, Mrs. Valla. I can see you here. I hope you're fine. And Dubey sir, my Hindi teacher. I can see him, and I think that my Hindi is actually better than my English, thanks to him. Yes, thank you so much for coming here. I think you should say a few words.
Good to see you, Ashish.
Thanks a lot.
May you rise way above the shine.
Thank you, thank you.
It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, sir.
And I remember you leading the parade, the glorious parade of All Saints.
Thank you.
With that beautiful cap of yours and the drummers and
Yeah.
everyone. And I'm so happy you picked me out of there. I was sitting there.
No, I mean, how can I even forget, sir?
That's so wonderful. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
coming here,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. And very importantly, I would like to mention Miss R. I was very fortunate that I happened to not only see her, but also was very close to her because of me being the head boy of All Saints. I learned a lot from my school principal, and I cannot even think of my existence, of what I am today, without mentioning Kaiser Bia. I always used to. I can see Mrs. Jha as well, I guess, if I can. My Hindi teacher, one more Hindi teacher. So thank you so much, ma'am. I cannot think of my existence without Kaiser Bia, because she. I still remember that when I was chosen school captain and I had to address, I guess, 2,000 or 1,000 students. and I was nervous, shaking, and she came to me and said that, this is your moment and you have to grab it. And that is the time when I think things changed for me, and I'm at Oxford, and I can say this with utmost honesty and with a lot of pride that whatever I learned, even in Oxford, I can bet that very few teachers and professors could match that. Like, we have this notion that we are at Bhopal, and we may not have, like Sudhir sir said, that he's a Sagar University campus boy, and at that time I think that he would have he was exposed to the best possible education, and sadly or ironically that may not be the case today, but that is it, that he, like, while I was in the plane I was talking to him, and he said that I don't feel any complex in front of a Mumbai boy or a Mumbai person, because I've seen, or I've been exposed to more than any Mumbai kid would be. I don't feel nervous at all, and I can stand in front of anybody, whether it's Oxford, Yale or anywhere. And I thank that. I would like to say that is all because I'm from the city, and I'm sorry if I have forgotten to mention names, because I'm a bit jaded. I've been on a tour for 20 days, and I've been to almost every possible city. Imagine, right from Kharagpur to Vellore. I'm so happy to see all of you who've taken out time and come here, that I have no words to express my gratitude. And I really like to mention this, that in mentioning my school, I cannot stop here without mentioning my friends. I see Ashwini, Taposh, Vinay, Nishant, Manish, and so many faces. I am so thankful that you came here, and I should be among you rather than standing here, because whatever I am because of you people. I can't even even take his name, Dr. Bashir Badr Sahab. I've seen, when I was in my school, we used to sing poems written by him, that I can't imagine even sitting beside Sudhir Mishra sir, because I have just one book, and here is a body of work which is revered internationally. When Sudhir sir said, I guess jokingly, that his work is more dark or more grey, I think he's one of the few intellectual directors in current times who can even mention Macbeth or Sagar in the same tone, and he is so well read, and he's an observer of life. His movies are such a, like we were talking about Dharavi, like what he made, and Slumdog Millionaire, and I said that according to me Dharavi is more realistic because of the take on the entrepreneurial zeal of a taxi driver rather than all dark. So I think that his movies are very inspiring, and I feel that they are much better, and he has a extensive body of work, and I would say that he was rather very maybe satirical in his speech, as he is in his movies. And Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, a cult movie, he co-scripted that, and when I discovered that he co-scripted it, I wanted to ask him that how you came up with these dialogues and this situation and so many things. So I would like to end here by thanking everyone who came here, and who you have taken out time, and I really thank. I don't feel that I'm a guest here. I should be part of you, and since it's Bhopal, and I cannot finish this without saying a शेर, so I was thinking of which that one could be. I think ये शेर है मेरे ख्याल से डॉक्टर अल्लामा इकबाल का, तो मैं वो बोलना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि मैं अपने आप को से काफ़ी क्लोज पाता हूँ, और मुझे लगता है कि जो भी यंग जवान आँखें, उन्हें वो शेर पढ़ना, न सिर्फ पढ़ना चाहिए बल्कि उन्हें दे शुड लिव बाय इट. तो शेर ऐसा है कि तू शाहीन है, परवाज़ है, बसेरा कर पहाड़ों की चट्टानों पर, तेरे सामने आसमां और भी हैं.